What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat basketball channel. My name is Amir, and for this video, I want to go over the Miami Heat versus Detroit Pistons game. So today was the first game of the NBA season for the Miami Heat, and they were able to beat the shitty Detroit Pistons 103 to 102. So another close nail biter type of game against basically the worst team possibly in the NBA. The Pistons last year were the worst team in the NBA. They only had 17 wins. We all know the Miami Heat made it to the finals. This game shouldn't have been close, but yet again, the Heat find themselves in another clutch NBA game. We all know that the Miami Heat had the most clutch NBA games all of last season. And today, we also had our first clutch game. So, not a lot has changed. So for this game tonight, the Miami Heat got off to a pretty slow start. They began the game down 5-12. The Pistons looked obviously younger, more athletic than the Miami Heat at the get-go. The Heat were eventually able to go on a 11-0 run to take the lead in the first quarter, but the defense was pretty good in the first quarter from the Detroit Pistons. So especially from their rookie Ausar Thompson, he had 3 blocks in the first quarter alone. He had 6 overall in his first NBA game, which is pretty impressive. But overall, the Detroit Pistons had 6 blocks total in the first quarter. So they were showing their athleticism, they were showing their speed, and they were able to recover. And the Miami Heat were able to get to the rim, specifically Tyler Herro, who had a few good opportunities but got blocked. And so Tyler Herro, we'll get into him later in this episode, but he also had a horrible start to the game. He was 1 for 8 in that first quarter. Cade Cunningham, on the other end, he actually had a really good game overall and a really good first quarter. He had 9 points in the first quarter, hit a 3-pointer, was getting to the mid-range, was able to take it to the rack. So he looked like a 3-level scorer tonight. But specifically in the first quarter, he looked good, and he's poised to have a good comeback year. Which is exciting because he's a young player in his third year, and his season was cut short last year with a shin injury. Isaiah Stewart, also another young big, who's now their power forward. He was the Pistons center last year. He played well in the first quarter too. He had 8 points. He had 2 3-pointers, which is pretty big. So his ability to spread the floor makes a lot of sense for moving him to the power forward slot. So he hit 67 or so threes last season, and he was able to hit 2 in that first quarter. Tyler Herro, like I mentioned, was 1 for 8, so not doing the best. He did have, again, some good opportunities, some good looks that rimmed out. He just wasn't able to make them tonight. The Pistons, though, even though they allowed the Heat to come back, go on that run, they ended the quarter on an 8-2 run and took the lead going into the second quarter, 29-26. But before that quarter ended, Jaime Jaquez Jr. made his debut with the Miami Heat this season, and the rookie had a really good play to end the quarter. So Jaden Ivey, the second-year player from the Pistons, was driving to the hoop, and he picked the ball from him, stole it, and on the other end, got the ball in the baseline, pump faked a defender, got him in the air, took it to the rack, and did an up and under left-handed layup. So he played pretty well in limited minutes, but he showed that he is an active, energetic player that is ready to contribute and to be in this rotation throughout the season. So happy to see Jaime play and get those minutes tonight. So the second quarter, the Heat started to play a little bit better defensively. They were forcing turnovers all throughout the game, but specifically to start that second half. and that led to a ton of fast break points. I think they had like 20 or so, 20-0 fast break points from turnovers. So they were playing really well on the defensive end to start that quarter. And um, Duncan Robinson played well also overall tonight, but he hit a few 3-pointers in that second quarter, as well as had a layup. One was from a backdoor cut, and Bam found him with a beautiful pass. And another one was just off the dribble, off a pump fake from the 3-point line. And he was able to get to the right side of the hoop and throw a layup off the glass, which looked really good. He's got to be able to do more than just shoot threes, especially this year. So yeah, that stuck out. Miami had been outscored in the first half, or the first quarter, excuse me. But in the second quarter, they actually did really well, and they outscored the Pistons 18-32 in that quarter. So going into the third quarter, this is where Miami was starting to separate themselves a little bit. They were up 17 points at one point, and they ended up outscoring the Pistons at the beginning of the quarter. But the Pistons were resilient for a young team. They have nothing to lose. They're just trying to gain experience, learn how to play with each other, develop some chemistry, and they ended up coming back slightly and outscoring the Heat 28-25, and were able to cut the lead to 75-83. And Duncan Robinson, again, giving him some more kudos, started off the fourth quarter hot for the Miami Heat. He was able to hit a 3 and then a 2-point bucket immediately, so to give the Heat 5 points. And that was the catalyst for the Heat to go on a 11-0 run in the fourth quarter. And they were up 19 points at one point. And what did the Miami Heat do? They did what they always do, which is blow leads to shitty teams. Quite frankly, this happened so many times last year. They lost in general to a bunch of teams that they shouldn't have. I know injuries were an issue, but still, we lost to the Spurs and the Hornets and the Pacers and a bunch of other crappy teams. The Lakers, when they didn't even have AD or LeBron, or the Clippers when they didn't have Kawhi or Paul George. So some embarrassing losses last year. But again, this Miami Heat team is torture. They just couldn't keep any leads or blow any teams out last year. So most of their wins were clutch, and a lot of their losses were also clutch. So they're used to playing in close games. And again, the definition of a clutch NBA game is a team that is within 5 or less with the last or under the last 2 minutes in the fourth quarter. So the Pistons came back, and the Heat, their offense just became stagnant. The Heat were just, giving the ball to Jimmy Butler, and he was kind of pounding the rock on the right-hand side, and not really moving the ball effectively. So the Heat were missing some shots, and then the Pistons were just being aggressive, and they were moving the ball really well as a team, and the Heat started turning the ball over. Bam Adebayo had a big turnover. Tyler Herro also had a bad pass where he was trying to throw it to Jimmy Butler, who was trying to seal a player under the basket. That play got intercepted, and the Pistons were just able to capitalize on a lot of the Heat's mistakes. And another issue in that fourth quarter too, during that comeback, was when they were down 9 or 7 points, they kept getting offensive rebounds, and they had 3 or 4 offensive rebounds within the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and those offensive rebounds all led to points. And so the Pistons were able to come within 1 point, and the Miami Heat had the ball, and they had the ball with like 27 seconds or so, 28 seconds left, and they executed pretty well. Jimmy Butler ended up giving Kevin Love a wide open look from 3, and it literally just rimmed out. It looked like it was going down, but then rolled out, and the Pistons were able to get the rebound with 3 seconds left, called the timeout, and They had the chance to win the game. We all knew that they were going to give the ball to Cade Cunningham, which they obviously did. He wasn't not able to get the ball and able to get downhill. So he got the ball at the top of the three-point line, and Jimmy Butler suffocated him. And Caleb Martin also came on the help side as well and hedged. And he had to take a deep contested three-pointer, which luckily missed. And he were able to get their first victory of the season. So tough game to watch, honestly. We started off slow and then we picked it back up, which I assumed we would, playing against one of the worst teams and one of the youngest teams in the NBA. And in the fourth quarter, it's usually the third quarter where we mess up, but this was the fourth quarter, was the third quarter for us this season. And we just allowed this young team to get that confidence, and we kept making mistakes, and they kept getting rebounds and putbacks, and they had an opportunity to beat us, and that would have been super embarrassing. So I don't want to be pessimistic to start the season off, but this is not a good sign if you're finishing out games this way against a really bad young team at home specifically. I know we had some injuries, but they had some injuries too. So we'll see if Jay Rich and Haywood Highsmith can come back for the next game or so. I think Haywood's probably going to miss more time with his knee injury, but those two players are definitely going to be helping us with the ability to hit 3-pointers and their defense specifically. Like, they're not going to be hitting threes at a super high clip, but frustrating game, I think, but it's the first game of the season. So I guess a win's a win. As Eric Spoelstra said, he was kind of happy with all the emotions from this game, I guess, but I wouldn't be happy if I was him. But it's the NBA. Like, teams go on runs, and I hope this doesn't become a pattern and a trend this season. So I'm hoping that for our next game, we're not going to blow a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter at home to allow a young team to come back. So let's take a look at the box score real quick. All right, let's look through the Pistons real quick. So Asir Thompson made his debut. He had 4 points, 5 blocks, not 6 actually. Okay, so they must have taken one away. 3 assists, 7 rebounds. He was 1 for 7, so not efficient, but 1 from 2 from the 3-point line. So he looks like he has potential. Super athletic, like his brother. He's young, so he'll have his time to learn and have his growing pains throughout the season, but not a horrible performance. Isaiah Stewart looked really good. I mean, 14 and 14. 2 from 3, which is huge, but 6 for 11, really efficient. Was getting a lot of baskets in the paint early on against Kevin Love, and he even gave him the too small when he scored the first bucket of the game, as I remember now. He had a good game. Jalen Duren, really good game. 17 and 14 as well. 4 assists, 4 blocks. The 4 turnovers are not good, but he looked really good as a rim protector and as a roller, and he had some good dunks in this game and some good offensive rebounds. As you can see, he had 6, and same as Isaiah Stewart. So a lot of those came in the fourth quarter. And Cade Cunningham, as I mentioned, looks poised to have an amazing season. He had 30 points, 9 assists, 3 boards, a block, and a steal. 13 from 27, 4 from 9 from 3. So he looked really good, really confident, and he looks healthy, which is all that matters. Killian Hayes, 0 for 6 from 3, but 10 points, 3 assists, a couple steals and a block. He's not a bad defender. And then Bagley did pretty well for his limited minutes, obviously going 8 and 8. So he was really active on the glass. He also got a block himself. Seems like almost everybody on the team got a block. So let's go down to the Heat. So Kevin Love surprised me tonight. He played 28 minutes, 4 from 9 from the field, 3 from 6 from 3. He had 13 points, 10 boards, couple assists, So Kevin Love, if he can give us anywhere from like 20, I think he's probably going to play a little bit less because again, Highsmith was out. If he can give us like 20 to 28 minutes on a given night and plays this effectively, then I'll be happy to have him start next to Bam Adebayo. He had a couple amazing full court passes like he always does. He's elite when it comes to that passing. But he had a pass to Jimmy Butler, which was just a dime. So happy to see K-Love play well this first game. And Jimmy Butler played just like Jimmy Butler does typically during the regular season. He was kind of coasting, and he was a little aggressive in the first and took off the second and third, and then took more shots in the fourth quarter and made some important buckets for us and was more active in that quarter. He had 19 points, 13 rebounds, which is impressive, but also 8 of those came on the offensive end. So that was great, giving us second chance opportunities. He also had 4 assists, 2 steals, 7 from 9 from the field, 6 for 18, which is not too bad. Bam Adebayo, though, I think was our best player for sure this game. Super efficient, just like he was during the preseason. He was being aggressive, which I like to see. He had 20 points at halftime, so he only scored 2. I think he had 20 going into the fourth quarter, so only had 2 points in the fourth, but 7 for 13. But then the thing that stood out was 8 for 10 from free throw. He only got double-digit free throws 6 times total last year, so to see him get to the line and make 80% of his free throws is good. He had 2 blocks as well, and 8 rebounds and 3 assists. So Bam definitely looked good. Hoping he could maybe take a few more shots next game, try to get us into that 26, 27 point range. I think that would be super helpful. Kyle Lowry just seemed like he was just ineffective the whole night. Very forgettable performance. 0 points. He didn't even shoot. I guess he did take 1 shot. I guess he took one at the very end of the game where he had to at the end of the shot clock. But 0 points, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 rebounds is super ineffective. And I just can't wait for him to get off the team with his expiring contract. Tyler Herro, the man of the hour, 16 points, 3 steals, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 7 for 24. 7 for 24, 2 for 7. People were talking about this is his revenge tour. He wants to show NBA scouts and GMs who are talking shit on him all season, or off season, excuse me, that he's not a centerpiece player for any major trade. He shot 29% from the field, which is horrible. I mean, he did have a lot of good looks, don't get me wrong, and a lot of good opportunities, but he just simply missed a lot of those opportunities, and he got blocked at least 2 or 3 times. So I'm hoping this is not a trend, because we need him to be more effective from the field. We need him to be more efficient. That's always been his issue, is his field goal percentage. And so not the best start. I'm happy he at least got 16 points, but how hard is it to get 16 points when you take 24 shots? Duncan Robinson, as I mentioned already, had a really good game. 6 for 10 from the field, 3 for 5 for 3, 15 points, an assist, a couple of rebounds. Happy that he had a good shooting game. He wasn't doing the best during the preseason. He was off and on in those 4 games. 2 games were good, 2 were bad. So good start for Duncan. Caleb Martin, 20 minutes. He was on a minutes restriction coming back from a knee injury. Looked very rusty. Only played 1 preseason game. 1 for 7, 0 for 3. 2 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. But I think he'll look better as his knee tendonitis goes away and he has more opportunity and more minutes. Thomas Bryant, not terrible. 8 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. 2 for 5 from the field in 16 minutes and 4 for 5 from free throw. That impressed me during the preseason, as he made almost all of his free throws. So good to see him hitting those free throws. Drew Smith, can't believe he even played. Don't even want to mention him. And Jaime Jaquez Jr., again, 13 minutes, very limited, but 3 for 3. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 6 points. He just seems like a hooper. and I'm sure those minutes will possibly go up. Or they'll probably stay somewhere around the same area, honestly, because once we got Haywood and Josh back in, they're obviously going to be a part of that rotation as well. So we have a really deep team, and so he might be. Drew Smith is definitely not going to play once those two guys come back. So I think Hawkins might get like somewhere between 8 to 13 minutes per game, if everybody's healthy. But you could see also Robinson didn't play, Hampton was sick, Jovic was a healthy scratch, and Jamal Cain, which makes sense. So I was kind of surprised that Jovic didn't get any time at all, and that Drew Smith did. So I don't know. I don't know why Jovic didn't get time. I think he needs to be playing every single game at least 8 minutes or 10 minutes or so. I'd rather have given those 9 minutes that Smith had to Jovic to see what he could do. But who knows? Spo's a mad scientist when it comes to his rotations, and he's going to give these players the opportunity throughout the season. So I'm sure he'll be playing sometime soon, but just kind of curious why he didn't play. So anyway, that is all I have for tonight. Let me see. I'm not sure who the Heat play next. I'm going to pull up their schedule. It looks like we're playing the Celtics at Boston Friday, October 27th. So that should be a fun game and a fun test, and hoping that we do beat them. The Celtics almost lost today. I didn't watch other games, but the Celtics were losing to the Knicks in the fourth quarter, but they were able to pull it off. And Tatum and Porzingis had really good games. Jaylen Brown was so tonight. But, oh yeah, another thing too I noticed was Max Strus had 27 points and 12 rebounds, and he had 7 threes. He was 7 of 12. And the Miami Heat tonight, what were they? Let's go back. The Heat were team stats 8 for 22 overall. So he had 1 less 3 than our entire team. So I think that could be an issue for us throughout the season. We were 36%, which is not like horrible. But we need to be consistent with that if we want to be able to win games. So 36% from 3, not horrible, but only 8 total. So we are going to definitely be missing Max and his high volume shooting. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing recaps all throughout the season. So thanks again for your time. I'll talk to you guys soon.